Alhamdulillah, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. May peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Have you ever wondered why the moments you thought would destroy you somehow became the very moments that brought you closer to Allah? Why the nights you cried the hardest were the nights your heart began to awaken? Sometimes Allah allows life to press upon you gently, not to break you, but to remind you of where true happiness really lives. Because happiness was never in the world. It was never in the hands of people, in the promises of this dunya, or in the outcomes you tried so desperately to control. Happiness has always been in one place, in the nearness of the one who created your heart. And then comes the realization that the things that didn't work out were never meant to carry your joy. Allah, in His mercy, takes away what is unstable to give you what is eternal. There are doors He closes because He knows the weight behind them would crush you. There are delays He writes because rushing would harm you. And there are losses He decrees because your heart was clinging too tightly to what would eventually fade. Allah says that He is with the patient. This is what sabr truly means, not simply to endure life, but to believe that behind every hardship is a wisdom. Behind every delay is a protection. And behind every heartbreak is a redirection crafted by the one who knows your soul better than you ever will. But the struggle is real. Some days you wake up carrying a heaviness you can't explain. Some nights you fall asleep with unanswered questions, unspoken fears, and wounds you hide from the world. Life feels uncertain. The heart feels tired, and happiness feels far away. Yet even in that moment, especially in that moment, Allah is closer than your breath. He sees the tears you don't talk about. He hears the prayers you whisper only in the dark. And He knows the storm inside you, even when no one else does. Remember, the Prophet taught us that with every difficulty there is ease, not after it, but with it. Meaning the ease is already there, hidden inside the struggle you think is drowning you. You just haven't reached the part of the story where you see it yet. So breathe. Slow down. Let your heart rest in the knowledge that you are held by the most merciful. You are being carried through a chapter that feels heavy, but will one day make sense. Your tears are being counted. Your patience is being written. Your prayers are being answered in ways you cannot yet see. And here is the reminder, the one that brings peace on the hardest days. Happiness is not the absence of tests. Happiness is the presence of Allah in the middle of them. It's waking up and saying, Ya Allah, I don't know how to handle this, but you do. It's releasing the weight you were never meant to carry. It's trusting that Allah's timing is never late, His plan is never flawed, and His mercy is never absent. If you want to stay happy even when life is hard, anchor your heart to the one who never changes. Let dhikr soften your fears. Let tawakkul steady your steps. Let sabr shape your vision. And let the remembrance of Allah be the light that fills every darkness you walk through. Because when Allah is with you, even the hardest life can feel gentle. And when He places peace inside your heart, no storm outside of you can take it away. True happiness begins with the heart's connection to Allah, not the world, because the world was never designed to satisfy a soul that was created for eternity. When the heart leans on people, outcomes, or material comforts, it inevitably tastes disappointment. Everything in this dunya is temporary, fragile, and constantly changing. And a heart that attaches itself to what changes will always be unstable. But when the heart turns toward Allah, when it finds its anchor in the one who never changes, it discovers a form of happiness that the world cannot give and cannot take away. A person may have little in this world yet feel rich because their heart is full of Allah's presence. And someone may have everything, wealth, status, comfort, but still feel a void inside because the soul is thirsty for something deeper. True happiness is not about having a perfect life. It's about having a heart that knows where to return in moments of fear, confusion, or pain. When Allah becomes the center, the heart stops chasing illusions and starts experiencing peace. It stops begging from creation and starts trusting the Creator. Even difficulties feel lighter because they are carried with a sense of purpose, knowing that Allah is guiding every step. The heart that remembers Allah becomes alive. It softens, heals, and finds strength it didn't know it had. With every sajda, every whispered dua, every moment of dhikr, the soul becomes more aligned with the truth that happiness flows from nearness to the one who created happiness itself. When the heart depends on Allah, it is no longer shaken by loss or inflated by gain. It remains balanced, grounded, and steady because its source of joy is divine. In that connection, even the darkest nights hold light, and even the hardest tests carry peace. Hardships are not punishments. They are invitations to return to Allah, because the one who loves you most would never break you without the intention of building you into something stronger, softer, and closer to Him. When a test enters your life, it is often the very moment Allah is calling your heart back to a place it forgot, a place of sincerity, humility, and reliance. Sometimes we drift without realizing it. We get caught in routines, distracted by the world, absorbed in our own plans. And then suddenly, something happens that shakes us awake. Not because Allah wants to hurt us, but because He wants to save us from paths that would wound us more deeply. A hardship can become the sweetest turning point when you see it through the lens of divine mercy. What feels like loss may actually be protection. What feels like delay may be preparation. What feels like heartbreak may be a cleansing of the heart from attachments that were quietly consuming it. Allah does not burden a soul except with what it can bear, and He does not test a heart except to purify it, elevate it, or redirect it towards something better. When the believer begins to understand this, hardship becomes a conversation with Allah instead of a punishment from Him. The tears you shed become a form of worship. The loneliness you feel becomes a doorway to deeper dua. The confusion becomes a reminder that guidance comes only from Him. Hardships force us to pause, to look inward, to reassess what we were holding on to too tightly. They peel away layers of ego, pride, or illusion, revealing a heart that is softer and more receptive to guidance. In every struggle, there is a sacred invitation. Come back to the one who has always been waiting for you. Pain is often the doorway to spiritual awakening because it breaks open parts of the heart that comfort and ease could never reach. When life is smooth, when everything feels predictable, the soul tends to settle into a quiet forgetfulness. It becomes attached, distracted, content with the temporary. But pain disrupts that illusion. It shakes the heart awake, reminding it that happiness built on the dunya will always be fragile. Pain is not just something that happens to you. It is something that transforms you. It strips away false attachments, exposes hidden wounds, and forces the soul to confront what it has been avoiding for too long. Through pain, Allah teaches the heart to seek differently, to love differently, to hope differently. Suddenly, the dunya no longer feels like home, and the heart begins longing for something deeper, something eternal. Pain creates cracks where light can enter, light of understanding, of humility, of sincerity. It softens the heart so that it can receive guidance and mercy with greater clarity. Many of the most profound spiritual shifts happen not in moments of joy, but in moments when the heart cries out, Ya Allah, I cannot do this alone. This cry itself is awakening. It is the heart remembering its true owner. It is the soul returning to the one it was created for. Pain pushes you toward dur'a, toward salah, toward reflection. It reminds you that strength is not found in yourself, but in the one who supports you. And as the heart begins to heal, it recognizes something beautiful. The pain that once felt unbearable becomes the very reason it found closeness to Allah. What once felt like breaking was actually a rebuilding. What once felt like loss was actually the beginning of finding yourself again. Not the self shaped by the world, but the self shaped by faith, hope, and divine nearness. Nothing is random. Every moment is written with divine precision, even the ones that confuse you, break you, or make you question the path you're on. Every step you take, every tear you shed, every door that opens or closes is unfolding exactly as Allah has written it. When you begin to internalize this truth, the heart stops wrestling with life and starts resting in the wisdom behind it. You realize that coincidences do not exist in a world created and managed by the most perfect planner. Every encounter, every delay, every sudden change is part of a larger tapestry that your eyes cannot yet see. Sometimes a moment feels unfair, but it is placed with exact purpose. Sometimes a person leaves, but their absence is written as protection. Sometimes you are delayed, not because you are forgotten, but because the timing of your arrival is part of a divine story. Even the challenges that feel completely out of your control are happening within a decree filled with mercy, even if that mercy is hidden behind discomfort. There is no chaos in Allah's plan. There is only order that the human heart hasn't learned to understand. When you trust that every moment is written with precision, anxiety begins to fade. You stop mourning over what was never meant for you. You stop fearing the unknown because you realize the unknown is not random. It is simply unseen. Just as the seed in the soil cannot see the sunlight waiting for it, you cannot see the wisdom waiting on the other side of your struggle. But Allah sees it. He crafted it. He decreed it for your growth. And when something doesn't go your way, you learn to say, this too is written with purpose. Because the plan you wanted may have been good, but the plan Allah wrote for you is perfect. Happiness grows when expectations from the world decrease and trust in Allah increases, because much of the pain we feel comes from placing heavy hopes on things that were never meant to carry them. We expect people to always understand us, to never disappoint us, to stay the same, to give us what only Allah can give. We expect circumstances to unfold according to our plans, forgetting that life is constantly shifting and the world is not built to be predictable. When expectations rise, disappointment follows, but when the heart gently loosens its grip on the dunya and turns its hope toward Allah, peace begins to grow in places where anxiety once lived. The world was never meant to be a source of stability. People change, moments fade, and outcomes unfold in ways we can't control. But Allah remains constant. When the heart stops demanding perfection from creation and starts relying on the Creator, it experiences a new kind of freedom. You no longer fall apart when someone fails you because you weren't depending on them for your happiness. You no longer crumble when circumstances shift because you know that every shift is guided by the one who knows what your heart needs. Lowering expectations from the dunya doesn't mean withdrawing from life. It means engaging with it more wisely. It means loving people without tying your heart to them. It means working hard while knowing that results come only from Allah. It means seeking the good of this world, but understanding that true contentment is stored with Allah alone. As trust in Allah deepens, the heart naturally becomes lighter. It begins to accept, to surrender, to say, Ya Allah, whatever you choose for me will always be better than what I choose for myself. In that surrender, happiness blossoms, not because life is perfect, but because the heart finally rests in the one who is. Sabr is not passive waiting, it is active hope in Allah's timing. And this is where its true beauty lies. Many people imagine sabr as simply enduring pain while feeling helpless and defeated, but real sabr is a powerful living force inside the heart. It is the quiet strength that whispers, my Lord has not forgotten me. It is the certainty that every delay holds a wisdom. Every hardship carries a message. And every closed door is a preparation for something written with greater mercy. Sabr is not sitting still. It is moving with faith even when your path is dark and unclear. Real sabr is choosing to trust Allah when your heart is breaking. It is waking up on difficult mornings and still saying Alhamdulillah, not because the struggle is gone, but because you believe that Allah is with you in it. Sabr is the courage to continue making dua even when you feel as though nothing is changing. It is knowing that every prayer is heard, every tear is counted, and every moment of waiting is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and closer to Allah than before. Sabr does not mean pretending the pain doesn't hurt. It means acknowledging the hurt while still choosing reliance over despair. It is an active engagement with life, doing what you can, giving your best effort, taking steps forward while fully accepting that the final result belongs to Allah. Sabr allows you to focus on what you can control and release what you cannot. It softens the heart, increases gratitude, and protects you from bitterness. When you understand sabr in this way, waiting becomes easier because you know you're not waiting alone. You're waiting with Allah's promise by your side, with His mercy surrounding your journey, and with the quiet assurance that whatever He writes will always arrive at the perfect moment. Tawakkul brings a sense of stability even when life feels unstable, because it shifts the weight of your worries from your shoulders to the one who controls everything. When you practice tawakkul, you acknowledge that your efforts matter, but the outcome never depended on you in the first place. You still try, you still move, you still hope, but your heart stays calm, knowing that what reaches you was always meant for you, and what misses you was never yours to begin with. This inner certainty becomes an anchor in a world full of constant change. Tawakkul does not eliminate challenges, but it transforms how you experience them. Instead of panicking when the path becomes unclear, you remind yourself that you are being guided by Allah, who sees the entire picture while you only see a single moment. Instead of breaking down when plans fall apart, you recognize that Allah is opening a new route, even if that route is still hidden from you. Instead of fearing the future, you step into it with the quiet confidence that Allah walks with you. A heart without tawakkul is tossed around by every disappointment, every delay, every unexpected change. But a heart with tawakkul becomes steady, not because life becomes easy, but because trust becomes stronger. You no longer measure success by getting what you want. You measure it by surrendering to what Allah chooses. You no longer seek control. You seek closeness to the one who controls all things. This shift turns fear into peace, anxiety into hope, and confusion into clarity. Tawakkul also allows you to breathe, to let go, to stop forcing outcomes that aren't meant for you. It teaches you that your job is effort, not results. Your duty is sincerity, not control. And when the heart finally realizes this, a profound stability settles within. A stability that comes from trusting the one who never fails, never forgets, and never leaves his servant alone. Letting go of people, outcomes, and illusions brings inner peace, because much of the heart's turmoil comes from holding tightly to things that were never meant to be permanent. We cling to relationships, believing they will complete us. We cling to expectations, assuming life must unfold the way we imagine. We cling to illusions of control, thinking we can shape destiny with our own hands. And when these attachments slip away, as they inevitably do, the heart breaks, not because Allah wronged us, but because we held too tightly to dunya-shaped dreams. Letting go is not losing. It is freeing the heart from false anchors. It's recognizing that people are gifts, not guarantees. That outcomes are possibilities, not promises. That life cannot be controlled, only entrusted to Allah. When you let go, you are not pushing things away. You are releasing your grip and allowing Allah's plan to unfold the way it was always meant to. There is peace in accepting that some people were only meant to be chapters, not entire books. There is peace in knowing that some plans failed because they would have led you away from what was better for your soul. There is peace in surrendering your timeline and embracing Allah's timing, even when it feels slower or different than what you hoped for. Letting go softens the heart. It removes layers of fear, resentment, and disappointment. It creates space for trust, gratitude, and clarity. When you stop demanding that life look a certain way, you begin to see the beauty of how Allah is shaping it. When you stop forcing what isn't written for you, you discover the calmness of resting in what is. And slowly, you realize something profound. Peace was never hidden in holding on. It was hidden in surrendering, in letting go of what you thought you needed and returning to the one you truly need. Hearts heal when they surrender what was never meant to be controlled, because so much of our suffering comes from trying to carry burdens that belong only to Allah. We cling to outcomes, believing we can force what is not written. We cling to people, thinking our love alone will make them stay. We cling to moments, hoping they will last forever. And with every attempt to control what lies beyond our grasp, the heart tightens, worries deepen, and peace slips further away. Healing begins the moment the heart finally whispers, Ya Allah, this is yours, not mine. Surrender is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of trust. It is acknowledging that Allah sees what we cannot, knows what we do not, and arranges what we never could. When the heart releases its grip, it is not giving up, it is giving back. It is returning the pen of destiny to the one who has always held it. And in that return, wounds start to heal in ways effort alone could never accomplish. Sometimes what hurts the most is not the hardship itself, but the resistance we hold inside, the refusal to accept what Allah has written. The more we fight reality, the more the heart bleeds. But the moment we surrender, even if the pain remains, the struggle begins to ease. Acceptance doesn't erase the wound instantly, but it allows healing to enter. It opens a door for peace to settle quietly inside the heart. Surrender clears the fog around the soul. It shifts the heart from asking, why is this happening to me? To what is Allah teaching me through this? It helps you see that what felt like loss may actually be protection. And what felt like an ending may be the beginning of something gentler and more aligned with your path. Through surrender, the heart rediscovers its softness, its hope, and its ability to trust again. Not in the world, but in the one who crafted every moment with perfect wisdom. Every test carries a hidden gift, a lesson, a purification, or a redirection, even when it arrives wrapped in pain or confusion. Allah does not place a hardship in your life without embedding within it something meant to elevate you. Sometimes the gift is clarity, showing you the truth about people, situations, or your own heart. Sometimes the gift is purification, washing away sins through tears, patience, and sincere prayer. And sometimes the gift is redirection, guiding you away from a path that would have harmed you and toward one that will bring you closer to peace, purpose, and Allah's mercy. But in the middle of the test, the gift is often invisible. The heart only feels heaviness, loss, and uncertainty. It asks why things had to change, why doors closed, why life suddenly shifted. Yet behind the scenes, Allah is rearranging your life with a precision you cannot yet understand. What feels like a setback may actually be a setup for something far greater. What feels like a delay may be Allah preparing you for a blessing that requires a stronger, wiser version of you. What feels like heartbreak may be protecting you from a life that would have broken your soul more deeply. The gift inside the test also comes in the form of growth. Trials mature the soul in ways comfort never could. They teach humility, empathy, patience, and resilience. They peel away pride and awaken sincerity. Through hardship, you learn who you truly are and who Allah is to you. You discover strengths you didn't know you had and weaknesses you needed to overcome. You realize that reliance on Allah is not optional. It is the only anchor that keeps the heart steady. And when the test eventually passes, as all tests do, you look back and see the wisdom that was hidden in every moment. You realize the gift was there all along. You just needed time, patience, and faith to unwrap it. The soul feels light when it forgives others and itself, because carrying emotional burdens is one of the heaviest weights a heart can bear. When you hold on to anger, resentment, or regret, it is not the other person who suffers. It is your own spirit that becomes tight, tired, and troubled. Forgiveness is not about saying the hurt was okay. It is about refusing to let the hurt continue controlling your inner world. It is choosing peace over poison, healing over bitterness, and freedom over the invisible chains of the past. Forgiving others does not mean you must forget what happened or allow people to hurt you again. It simply means you no longer hand them the power to disturb your heart. You release them into Allah's hands, trusting that He is the best judge, the best protector, and the best witness. When you let go of the bitterness, you create space inside your heart, space for compassion, space for calm, space for faith. Resentment crowds the soul, but forgiveness clears it. Equally important, though often harder, is forgiving yourself. Many people walk with invisible wounds, punishing themselves for mistakes they made years ago. They hide their regret behind smiles, yet deep inside they feel unworthy of mercy. But Allah's mercy is greater than your mistakes. He forgives again and again, inviting you to rise after every fall. When you refuse to forgive yourself, you are holding on to a burden Allah has already released you from. Self-forgiveness allows your heart to breathe again. It allows you to move forward without being chained to a version of yourself that no longer exists. Forgiveness softens the heart and makes room for hope. It reminds you that healing is possible, that growth is real, and that Allah never intended for you to live imprisoned by pain. In choosing to forgive, you choose to live lightly, to live sincerely, and to live with a heart open to the blessings Allah has prepared for you. Dhikr is nourishment for a tired heart and the key to inner serenity, because the soul was created to remember Allah, and it becomes restless when that connection fades. In the noise of the world, the heart absorbs worries, fears, and disappointments. Slowly, the inner space becomes cluttered with thoughts that drain its strength and dim its light. But the moment the tongue whispers Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, or La ilaha illallah, something gentle shifts inside. It is as if the heart finally exhales. Dhikr cleans the inner dust that life constantly leaves behind. It softens the edges of sadness and realigns the soul with its true purpose. There is a unique peace that descends when you remember Allah with presence. It is not just the movement of the tongue, it is the awakening of the heart. Dhikr reminds you that you are not alone, not forgotten, and not carrying your burdens by yourself. It repositions your thoughts, pulling them away from fear and toward faith. The heart begins to find clarity where there was confusion, warmth where there was numbness, and hope where there was despair. Dhikr is also a protection. It shields the heart from whispers, from negativity, from the heaviness of the dunya. When the heart is filled with Allah's remembrance, there is little room left for anxiety to take root. The worries of life may still knock on the door, but they cannot settle inside as easily. The more you remember Allah, the more your heart becomes anchored, not to circumstances, but to the one who controls them. And beyond peace, dhikr brings healing. Every repetition is like a wave washing over a wound. With each moment of remembrance, old hurts begin to loosen, and new light begins to shine. A heart filled with dhikr becomes a heart that can face life with gentleness, wisdom, and calm, because it knows where to return and who to rely on. Dhikr turns the ordinary moments of the day into moments of connection, and it transforms a weary heart into one that feels alive again. Allah sends storms not to break you, but to clean your path, because every difficulty you face carries within it a divine intention that your eyes may not yet see. When life suddenly becomes heavy, when plans collapse, when relationships end, or when the heart feels shaken, it is easy to assume something has gone wrong. But in reality, something deeper is happening. Allah is clearing away what was blocking your growth, your peace, or your closeness to Him. His storms are not punishments, they are purifications. They wash away attachments that were quietly hurting you. They remove distractions that were pulling your heart toward the dunya. They take away things you were leaning on too heavily, reminding you that your true support is Allah alone. Sometimes the storm enters your life to redirect you, to pull you away from a path that would have harmed you. You may not understand it in the moment. You may feel confused, scared, or heartbroken. But storms have a purpose. They uproot what was weak, so that something stronger can be planted in its place. They break illusions, so the truth can finally be seen. They strip your heart of what was temporary, so it can make room for what is eternal. And in that moment of being shaken, you begin to realize how much you needed this cleansing. You recognize that some doors had to close because you were settling for less than what Allah had written for you. You see that certain people had to leave because their presence was holding you back from your spiritual rise. You understand that some hardships were sent not to harm you, but to awaken you, to turn your gaze back toward the one who never leaves. Storms are uncomfortable, but they are transformative. They teach reliance, humility, patience, and surrender. And when the storm finally passes, as all storms do, you look around and realize the path is clearer, your heart is lighter, and your direction is more aligned with what Allah always intended for you. Even in your darkest moments, Allah is closer than your own heartbeat, because His nearness is not dependent on your strength, your perfection, or your situation. It is a constant reality woven into every breath you take. When life becomes heavy and you feel like you're walking through a storm with no shelter, it's easy to imagine you are alone. But the truth is, Allah is nearest when the world feels farthest. He is listening when everyone else is silent. He is holding you when your heart feels too tired to hold itself together. His closeness is not something you earn. It is something He promised. When you whisper a dua through tears, He hears it. When your heart breaks in a place no one sees, He witnesses it. When you feel weak, He is the one strengthening you. When you feel lost, He is the one guiding you gently back to Him. Sometimes His closeness is felt as a sudden calm in the middle of chaos. Sometimes it comes as an unexpected moment of clarity or a small blessing that lights up an entire day. Sometimes it comes as a verse of the Quran that feels like it was written just for your pain. His nearness is a mercy that surrounds you even when you struggle to recognize it. You don't have to be strong to feel Allah close. You just have to turn your heart toward Him, even slightly, and you will find Him nearer than every fear, every worry, every heartbreak. His nearness is not measured by how loudly you pray, but by how sincerely your heart calls upon Him. And the beauty is that even when your heart is too tired to call, He is still near. He is still caring for you, still guiding you, still protecting you in ways you may not understand yet. When you truly believe in Allah's nearness, even the hardest days become bearable. You begin to walk through life with a quiet peace, knowing that no matter what happens, you are never walking alone. His closeness becomes your comfort, your strength, and the secret source of happiness that no hardship can take away. In the end, your life is shaped not by the moments you wish for change, but by the moments you decide to act on that change. Every challenge you face is not a barrier, but a doorway. An invitation to rise, to improve, to transform into the person you were always meant to become. Life will always test you, stretch you, and sometimes even break you. But it is within those very moments that your strength is forged and your true potential is awakened. Never underestimate the power of small daily choices, the courage of taking the next step, or the impact of refusing to give up when everything feels heavy. Your journey is unique, your struggles are valid, and your growth is real. Stand firm in your purpose. Stay loyal to your dreams and believe deeply that you are capable of far more than you've ever imagined. Keep moving, keep trying, keep becoming. Your future self is waiting for you. And they are proud of the person you are choosing to become today.